Hey, thanks for tuning that dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and this is Eek Reviews, where we take a different movie every single week and we come at you with our hot takes and immediate review to determine if the movie gets the original Eek seal of quality. So this is a special week. I mean, I'm recording this on October 28th. We are so dang close to Halloween. The spooky season is here, but it's almost over. And that makes me kind of sad. But you know what? We've been watching movies every single week this month, and they all take place on Halloween Day or Halloween season. Really, I think all of them take place on Halloween Day because we did Night of the Demons, and then we did Candy Corn, and then, now we're doing Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So I'm going to get at you right here with our back of the box description. I literally have the actual VHS box right here, and that's how we're getting our back of the box description today. So that's pretty freaking rad. Halloween is drawing near, and all across America, children are getting ready for what could be their last Halloween. When a crazed man wanders into Dr. Dan Chalice Hospital, clutching a Halloween mask and raving about people trying to kill him, Dan assumes the guy is nuts. But then the man is gruesomely murdered and turned into a mysterious ash. With the man's daughter Ellie, Dan decides to investigate the man's last days. This trail takes them to the spooky, remote town of Santa Myra, home of Silver Shamrock Novelties. But Silver Shamrock is anything but child's play. It is the home base of an ancient Celtic coven headed by a warlock with a diabolical plan to murder 50 million children on the Devil's Night. So put on your masks and get ready for a few hours of pure terror. Halloween is here again. And then there's another little subtitle that says, gather around your TV set, put on your masks, and watch.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, and that sound means that we are back. I am back. And I'm back. You know, if you listen often, you get the inside joke. If you don't, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a bad joke that we all stole from SNL. So, whatever. I watched Halloween 3. This is not the first time that I've seen Halloween 3. Seen it a handful of times. It kind of made its way into my every Halloween rotation there for a minute. I really enjoyed watching Halloween 3 on Halloween night. So the thing about Halloween 3, most everybody knows this, but if you don't know, Halloween 3 is a huge departure from the rest of the Halloween series. There is no Michael Myers in Halloween 3. What's going on here is John Carpenter had wanted to create Halloween as a annualized kind of anthology franchise where every new year a new Halloween movie would come out. None of them necessarily have to be attached to one another. None of them have to be telling the same story. It's just always a story that happens on Halloween or around Halloween. So the studio and the producers kind of let him kind of shoot his shot with this one. He didn't direct it, but he did. He was involved in production. He had, I believe, he did a script revision, and then the director, Tommy Wallace, did a revision of Carpenter's revision. And Wallace is the production designer from the original Halloween and The Fog. So this guy has worked with John Carpenter quite a bit before directing this film. And from what I understand, he wasn't super excited that the Halloween film he was directing was one that didn't have Michael Myers. The movie just seemed doomed from the start. And the sad thing is, it's actually a pretty good movie. I will say at least this much, it has more strong Halloween vibes than any other Halloween movie, even the original. Part 4 probably comes close with, trick-or-treating and things like that, but the Halloween vibes in Halloween 3 are just so freaking strong. And that's what I love about it. So the plot really centers around Silver Shamrock Novelties. They create these 3 masks. They're like the most popular masks for this whole Halloween. All the kids are going crazy about it. They have this huge promotion push with TV commercials, and it's just like the shit. And it's the witch mask, which I'm wearing my witch mask Halloween 3 shirt today. This is from Fright Rags, and I really, really like it. So there's the witch mask, the skeleton mask, and the jack-o'-lantern mask. And so what's going to happen is, well, this like Celtic cult warlock guy who runs this company has done this thing where he's like mixing witchcraft with technology, and he's able to basically like kind of cast these Celtic spells, this big like devastating Celtic spell through technology by utilizing some images in the TV commercial and like microchips that have been implanted into every single mask. So the idea is that all of these children who are wearing this mask will tune in on Halloween night and watch this commercial for this big special giveaway. And what ends up happening is they all get brutally murdered and they all die because the spell like causes like locusts and snakes and all kinds of crazy shit to like crawl out of every orifice of your face. It's pretty intense. And the scene that we actually see this happening to a kid is a really good scene. I would say it's kind of gone down in history as one of those kind of cliched things that you see a lot at Halloween as like a meme or a gif or something like that, is this kid clutching the jack-o'-lantern mask. The jack-o'-lantern mask is no longer a mask. It's actually like a real rotten jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, and he's like ripping it off of his face, and then all of these bugs and snakes crawl out of his face. It's pretty intense, it's pretty brutal, and it's pretty freaking cool. Where this movie kind of zags and doesn't do so great is mostly in the weakness of the script in general. The idea is great. I really like the idea. I'm bought into this witchcraft meets technology thing. There's quite a few plot holes. There's quite a few things that just don't quite make sense, but it's just that suspension of belief where it's just like, you know what? Suspension of disbelief, rather. Like, I don't have to have all the answers. It doesn't have to make perfect sense for it to be enjoyable and for it to just be a good movie. And that's kind of the good thing about it. The other good thing about it is Tom frickin' Atkins. This Tom Atkins, I love him to death as an actor. He is equally Halloween 3's biggest strength and also at times its biggest weakness, because Tom Atkins has a little bit more of maybe a ham-fisted acting style, which was kind of popular, especially with leading men like him in the 80s. And sometimes it just comes off a little goofy in this movie, but I love him so much, and his mustache is so great, and it's still worth it. He's still amazing, and any points against it for being a little cheesy because of Tom Atkins acting, he just makes up for it because he's Tom Atkins, and you're gonna love him. You have to love him. So this movie really gets panned by a lot of horror fans, and I'll say that it kind of used to. I remember growing up knowing Halloween 3 is the worst Halloween movie ever made. I knew that before I ever even saw it. That's just the general consensus of most human beings. Now, I would say this movie, maybe more than any other movie that I've ever seen, has really turned around its reputation. And people really give it the credit that I think it's due. It's not mind-blowingly good. It's not as good as the first Halloween, but it's a completely different style of movie than the first Halloween. It's not trying to accomplish anything that Carpenter was trying to accomplish with the original Halloween story, with Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis and Laurie Strode, that whole thing. He's not doing that here. And obviously, he's not even as involved with this as he was with the first one. Still involved a little bit. So, the movie looks like a pretty bad 80s movie. I even noticed a couple times there were some Steadicam shots that were like really not that steady. And so I'm almost wondering, there's a shot whenever they enter the kind of laboratory where they're making these masks. There's this, and we're kind of gearing up for the big reveal. There's the shot where the camera it kind of goes over a railing and then comes down and follows our characters as they come down like a flight of stairs. The whole thing is shaky as hell. And I genuinely wonder if they're just shoulder mounting this thing and then like handing it off to a guy underneath who brings it down and cradles it on his shoulder and then tries to follow the talent to the next shot, because the whole thing is very wobbly. It's very shaky, super noticeable if you're watching it on a larger screen. I am able to watch a lot of my movies at home on a projector with a 100-inch screen, so super noticeable in that moment just how shaky that shot was. And what's interesting about that is John Carpenter himself is, one of the guys who he didn't necessarily pioneer the Steadicam, but he embraced that technology very quickly. There's that huge single shot of Michael as a little kid in the first Halloween, and it's very steady. They're going up the stairs, and that's whenever Michael murders his sister. It's the opening of the movie. So to see that handled in a little bit of a sloppier way here was just kind of interesting. And what I also think is interesting is maybe that shot is only in the movie because the director of this movie worked on Halloween and knew John Carpenter pretty well. So maybe that long shot was supposed to be kind of like an homage, because as far as I picked up on, it was the only really long shot like that, continuous shot like that in the film. And it just wasn't handled super well. So I thought that was interesting. The thing about the movie that looks good are the masks. The masks look great. They look so stinking good. The bugs crawling out of people's faces look great. And it has such strong Halloween vibes. Dead leaves on the ground, kids running around for trick or treat, wearing all these masks, the witch, the jack-o'-lantern, the skeleton. It's just iconic Halloween candy. Like, it's great. It's great. I love the way that it looks in that aspect. I would say the effects leave a little bit to be desired, but they're also going kind of way overboard here with this like witchcraft thing that they hadn't really done in previous Halloweens. So like you're going from just stabbing somebody, which yeah, you need good effects for, but like now we're doing like freaking snakes like bursting out of people's faces. There's a laser at one point that like chews up this lady's face. There's also like sparks and like witchcrafty stuff happening. The warlock kind of like gets disintegrated at the end or something. Maybe he teleported away to safety. I don't really know. So effects leave a little bit to be desired. I love the way the film sounds. I think that the sound of it is fantastic. It's right up there with, some of the great John Carpenter scores. They reused this music for the trailer of Maximum Overdrive, which I thought was kind of interesting. It sounds so good. And then there is the Silver Shamrock jingle set to the tune of London Bridges or London Bridge. I don't really know what that song is called. London Bridge, right? Is falling down. Not London Bridges are falling down. So I guess London Bridge, but not Fergie's London Bridge, like the nursery rhyme. So the happy Halloween Silver Shamrock is the gist of it. And you hear that about 15 times throughout the film, and it's super catchy. and it's super annoying and obnoxious and gets in your head, but that's the point of it. So like you can't hold that against the movie, because like they wanted to create that for a specific purpose, and that's exactly, it accomplishes the purpose they created it for. There's even a moment towards the end of the film where kind of everything's going to shit, and like they're showing off what happens with these masks and the technology and the witchcraft and this big spell thing, and the jingle just keeps playing over and over and over again, and then it gets like pitch shifted and like time shifted to where like it's playing faster and faster and faster and getting higher and higher pitched, and it's just really, really loud. It's very disorienting. There's a lot of strobing happening at that moment in the movie as well. Super disorienting, and like I find those things to be really scary. Probably the scariest thing that I witness in like a haunted house or like a haunted trail, whatever it is actually just like the feeling of being disoriented when you have something like super loud and annoying played over and over and over again. It could be kind of any kind of music, like when you have it at a volume that's just uncomfortable and it's playing on a loop, and then especially you add in something like a strobe light, and then you add in the fact that you're in a place that you don't know and you're walking along and there's actors around you trying to scare you. I find that to be more scary than like brutal kill scenes or whatever that you might see in a haunted house, like they're acting out, things like that. Just that disorientation feeling is a very fight or flight, I think, for a lot of people, but especially for me. So whenever that happens in the movie, like I feel my heartbeat getting a little faster, like I feel that energy. And so I think that's a great thing. And it's probably the scariest part of the movie, I would say, is when we see the kind of experimentation of how all this works. And it's all part of the big reveal. It's the same thing as when the kid's pulling the pumpkin off of his face that, I was talking about earlier. And it's great. I really, really love that part. Best kill, though. The best kill. There is this other character who owns a costume novelty store or whatever, who stocks these Halloween masks at her store. She is there at the factory to pick up her shipment, and she's angry about quality control because one of the tags fell off of one of the masks at her store. So the tag has the microchip in it, and that's what triggers the magic to happen. So there's this amazing scene where this lady's sitting in the hotel room waiting to go to the factory the next day so that she can get her shipment of masks. And she's messing around with the tag. Notices there's like a little microchip in the back. And so she, for some reason, pulls out a bobby pin and starts like picking at it, because I guess that's what we do to microchips in the 80s, because we don't know what they are for some reason. I have no explanation for why she tries to do this, but she does. She does it. No one knows why. And as she's doing it, a very bright, powerful blue laser beam shoots out of it and into her face, and basically just completely fries her face. And it is one of the most amazing kill scenes. It's one of my favorite kill scenes of all time, and it's because it is so unexpected. We walked into this movie knowing that it's Halloween 3, even if you know that Michael Myers is not in Halloween 3. In no way are you expecting this little tag with a freaking shamrock on it to shoot a laser beam and destroy this woman's face. It's amazing. I love watching this film with people who have never seen it before, because when we get to that point, I'm not even watching the movie anymore. I am watching their facial reactions, because it's just like, where the hell did that even come from? It's amazing, and it makes me so happy every single time. So definitely gets my best kill. And so I guess we're getting into my final thoughts. And my final thoughts about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is I recommend it for sure. It's getting the thumbs up. I think it's a decent movie. I think it deserves your time. And I think that even though the community around horror movies has come back around on it quite a bit, I think that it still hasn't quite reached like full pop culture levels of acknowledgement. And I think that it deserves to, because it's one of the few great movies that's actually about Halloween. And I just think that that's a great thing. Other movies there's Trick or Treat. That was on the potential list for us to do as our big Halloween review for this year, but I went with Season of the Witch because I really, really wanted to watch it because it'd been a while, and I watched Trick or Treat last year, but I didn't watch Season of the Witch last year, so maybe I'll review Trick or Treat next year. We'll see. But I think that it deserves your time for no other reason than that, and I think that is good enough. Tom Atkins is amazing. He's so much fun to watch. Even when he's being a little ham-fisted and a little goofy, I still love him, and he's super fun. And if you've never seen the movie, you should definitely give it a shot. Ratings-wise, I believe this was still sitting at like a 40-ish or 50-ish on Rotten Tomatoes last time I checked. Ratings-wise, on the nugget meter, nuggetometer, if you will, here at the old Eek channel, I'm gonna hold it fast at about a 50%. This is not an A+ movie, and as much as I have love for it because of the way that it makes me feel, because it's so Halloween-y, on repeat viewings, the plot starts to fall apart a little bit more and more here and there. I didn't even tell you about how it ends. So it has this amazing ending where Tom Atkins is on the phone talking to like the TV station, I guess, for some reason. I don't know why they would believe anything that he has to say, but anyway, he's yelling at the people to get the commercial turned off. The moment is happening. This 50 million children being targeted is happening in this exact moment. And he's on the phone screaming at them to get the commercial turned off the air. Gets turned off one channel. Kid turns the TV knob to a different channel. Still playing the commercial. That one gets turned off. Gets to the third one. Tom Atkins says, "No, the third channel," which leads me to believe that there were only 3 channels, and I really, really like that. I think that at this point in history, I wasn't necessarily around when this movie came out in the 80s, but I think at this point there were most people got more than 3 channels, but apparently not in Santa Mira, or actually whatever town outside of Santa Mira that this is actually taking place in, because Tom Atkins seems to believe there's literally only 3 channels. The third channel never gets shut off, and he's just screaming, "Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off," and we get cut to black. I love that. It's very open-ended, and I think that you are led to believe that it worked, and that is scary. So when it comes down to, is this movie scary? Nothing about it before this moment is. It gets a little goofy, it gets a little sci-fi-y, and it's kind of hard to believe. But the way that it ends with the hero didn't win is so much more bleak than even, say, Halloween, where like the villain didn't die in Halloween. Like Michael Myers got up and disappeared. We know that because it comes back in other movies. But Laurie wins. Laurie wins in the end of Halloween. Tom Atkins does not. His friend, I don't even remember her name, his lady friend who he meets on this adventure, also does not. Literally, the good guys don't win. And that's what I love about it, and that's what makes it scary. All right. Well, that about wraps it up for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you would like to help with the show, you can rate, review, like, comment. You can review us on iTunes and Apple Podcast and Spotify. You can do all those things. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, leave a comment, chat with us on Instagram. All those things really, really help. And if you don't want to do any of those internet things, just tell a friend about the show. I would really, really appreciate it. But the internet things do help. Oh God, the internet things do help. If you'd like to do those things, they really help me out as well. All right, thank you guys so much for listening.
This has been a production of Eek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at eekchannel.com or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in, and stay eeky out there.